Hey guys. Hello everyone. Welcome to a special installment, sports edition of your new favorite podcast, the Naughty Numerology Podcast. I am your host, Rothy, expert numerologist and accidental empath. And normally I'm joined by your co-host, Brian Harris, but he's working today, so we're going to let him have that time. But I could not, as many of you know, I live in the city of Dallas. I'm from Texas and I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, lifelong. And I'm also a super fan of certain other professional athletes that represent my city. And so, because of that, and because Dallas is just on fire these days when it comes to sports, and I'll say it that way, um, I had to do these numerology charts. So, without further ado, may I present to you a numerology lesson through the charts of KYRIE IRVING, LUKA DONCIC, CEEDEE LAMB, as well as DEZ BRYANT, and also Stephen A. Smith, because there's some really surprising information that I found out about SAS's chart. As a Cowboys fan, you already know what it is with me and him, but incredibly interesting tells of numerology through these people's charts. I think you're going to love it. It is numbers, and I'm going to do my best to keep everything concise and not go to ADD so that you all can keep up with this, right? But my intent with this is to show the magic that these sports athletes are and why they stand out a bit above the rest. Just to be completely frank and honest, there's a little bit of magic with them, and I want to show you that through the numbers. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, a little bit of, before we get into their charts, a little bit about me, Rothy, the numerologist, and why the hell you should listen to anything that I have to say, because if you're not familiar with me, if you're not familiar with numerology, this is going to be totally confusing to you, and you're going to be like, WTF, I have no clue what's going on. So let me do a little bit of a breakdown of my background, as well as the basics of numerology, and then we'll get into their charts. Okay. Again, my name is Rothy. I'm an expert numerologist, and I call myself an accidental empath. And the reason that I say that is because of the incredible spiritual awakening that began in 2019 for me when I moved to Dallas from Orlando. I had lived in Florida 30 years or so, born and raised on the border in El Paso, Texas. So Texas is my home, but lived most of my life in Florida. I came to Dallas in 2019 to take a new job and get back to Texas, closer to family and all, and began doing my numerology chart readings. I had zero clue as to what would transpire. It was about the third chart reading that I did with a complete stranger, virtually online, where I accidentally channeled their cousin who had been murdered by drawing them on the chart somehow and calling them out by name. So this reading and so many others are still on my YouTube, on my social media, and that was just the beginning. That was the first instance and proof of the fact that I had strong spiritual abilities that I never realized before. And of course, they have proceeded to just explode and grow exponentially throughout the years. So as far as clients and my reputation, I'm not super well known by any means. However, I have consulted with thousands of people across the world, most of them complete strangers. In every single chart reading, I am able to tell people very private things about themselves that I should have no clue about, but the numbers tell me. And so I do have, I've got so many witnesses, friends, family members that have gone through the spiritual awakening, that have gone through consults, that understand what I'm trying to do here, and have encouraged me to go forward with this, hence the Naughty Numerology Podcast. Now, I am new at this, so please bear with me. I'm not perfect yet. I don't have all the equipment yet. I'm doing the best that I can, but I do want to start trying to bring this information to humanity. And there's several reasons why. And let's talk about this in the numerology breakdown. Okay, numerology in a nutshell. What is numerology? Numerology is not this foo-foo, uh, woo-woo, taboo, occultish practice out there that religious people will have you believe that it is. It absolutely is not, nor is astrology. The fact of the matter is the creator created everything, right? We all know now through science that everything and everyone is what? Energy. Well, how do we quantify energy? Through frequency. How do we quantify frequency? Through numbers. Therefore, everything and everyone is numbers. And the study of this is numerology. Okay. In addition to that, numerology I've found through my work is absolutely a huge piece of proof of the simulation. And let me explain. All fundamental truths about anyone or anything can be found in the numbers. And I've learned this through years of decoding the elites and how they talk to each other and how they plan and schedule things. And it's how I've been able to predict multiple false flag events and uh, black swan events, so on and so forth, market booms, etc. Even Maui last year was something that I predicted. So again, the fundamental truths for everything can be found in the numbers. And what I came to also find through my work in numerology, that numerology is the binary coding to the simulation. Our personal numerology charts are our binary coding from the creator who coded our life's experiences. Okay, let me break that down. Just like our DNA is the blueprint to our physiological makeup, what color eyes we'll have, how tall we'll be, our skin color, etc. Our numerology, our personal numerology, is the binary coding or the blueprint to our experience in life, to our soul's experience, to our purpose, to our gifts, to our challenges, our traumas. Okay? Now, we all do have free will. We have choice in everything, and there's shadow and light to every single number. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the charts. But yes, we are all absolutely coded by the creator through our names and our birth dates. And that binary coding gives us everything from our purpose to our direction to our preferences, our strengths, what we're going to do in life. That's our directive right there. Hence the reason I preach numerology. I wish I had known about this as a child. I wish I had known my numbers as a child. I would have probably gone in a different direction in life. I see now where my strengths lie and where, knowing myself now as an adult, I would have made some different choices based upon knowing my numbers. However, everything is in alignment, I do believe. So I am where I am, and I'm very grateful to be doing this. So I love everything that I've learned, and I'm so passionate about sharing it with the world. So keep coming back, keep listening, ask me questions if you have any questions, give me feedback as to how you would like me to break this stuff down for you. I can go fast sometimes. I'm super ADD at moments. There's so many details in numerology, and I feel like I always try to paint it in a big picture all at once. So I'm going to do my best to keep it kind of separate and break it down for you a little bit in smaller chunks, so not as much to digest at first. Okay, so numerology is the binary coding to our reality and to our simulation. There are different types of numerology. I study Pythagorean numerology. I consider it to be the quote unquote most scientific form of it because it's the coding. Things like gematria and stuff like that, it's not that they're not real. They absolutely are, but they deal more so with divinity and divination and that sort of stuff, which is not what I do. Please don't get it confused. The fact that I am an admitted empath and sensitive, clear of several sorts, I have natural gifts and abilities. I do not consult with spirits. I do not ritualize. I do not do any of that stuff. I rely on my natural connection through my DNA which is our antenna to the ether. You ever walk in a room and feel the vibe? That's your DNA talking to you. Okay? Hence the reason for detoxes and cleanses, especially for things like your pineal gland. It's your DNA and your pineal that allow you to tap in, guys. Okay? Numerology for me was one of the catalysts. And I do believe that it's also DNA codes for downloads. I believe our personal numerology charts are downloads. I believe when I started getting into numerology and knowing my chart, learning the history of my birthday, which is an incredibly historic day, unbeknownst to most, but it is that whole process is what opened up my spiritual abilities. So, to me, and having grown up in the church with religion and all of that, it blew my world apart, obviously, and I had to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of due diligence, and praying and sleepless nights, finding out what was happening and why I was developing or why I had these abilities out of nowhere when I never asked for them or never tried to get them. I had just been obsessed with numerology, and that's what happened. So that's just a little bit of my background. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but just so you know a little bit about who's telling you this information, okay? I have thousands of clients across the world that I have consulted over the years. I have countless friends and family members, so on and so forth, followers who have witnessed so many crazy spiritual happenings that have occurred through my awakening. So I'm not a novice in this. I'm not perfect. However, I have a passion to share this with the world. I believe it is the hack to the matrix. And I also know that the elites use it against us. So my goal is to use things like amazing athletes and superstars' birth charts to help teach humanity numerology so that we can begin to decode on our own and hack it. Okay? It's the whole goal with the Naughty Numerology podcast. Make sure you don't bring your kids to listen because I tend to cuss a lot. All right, let's get into the chart, shall we? Enough of my digressions. Let's talk about the basics. In all of numerology, you're going to have 12 digits. That's it. For numerology charts, you're only going to have 12 digits. There's no such thing as angel numbers. There's no such nothing like that. It's going to be the cardinals, 1 through 9, or the masters, 11, 22, and 33. And that's it. You have 5 different placements in your chart. Your life path, that is your destination energy, the ultimate goal, your life purpose. So we may not always exhibit all of the attributes of our life path number until maybe the latter half of our life, right? Unless we have 2 same birth date and same life path number. Because the birth date number is your journey energy. This is the parts of you that stay the same and go into support that ultimate destination life path energy, and that never changes throughout life. So your birthday number, you will have those attributes from birth until death, okay? Then we have our expression number, our personality, or what I like to call the perception number, and then our heart's desire number. And those 3 numbers are actually derived from the spelling of a person's name. Now, because of the fact that we have multiple names that we're dealing with here, we have the government, our issued name at birth, and then we have our superstar name, or what the world knows us as. A few of these charts are going to have duplicate charts to them, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. But the expression number is how and why we do things. Our perception number is how we're seen by people. And the heart's desire is exactly what it sounds like. It's our soul urge, what we ultimately want to manifest in life. All right? All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about our first professional athlete, what I call one of my pro bays, my pro Dallas bays, because I love him so much. But being a lifelong Cowboys fan and a fan of this particular jersey number since, I was a child, I could not do this. And of course, we just had his birthday on 4/8, which was the eclipse day. So without further ado, let's do the chart of CD is Sidarian DeLeon Lamb, okay? AKA Mr. Eclipse, AKA Lil Daddy Doop Doop. That's what I call him. That's my nickname for him. Don't judge me. Okay, let's talk about CD because CD is an incredible athlete. He's an incredible player for the team. And I have a couple of speculations that I'll make based upon the numbers, not because I know CD or I know any of them. But this is, again, just based upon what I've seen, what I'm picking up in energy, as well as the numbers. All right, let's talk about the life path. So Sidarian has a life path 4. This is very interesting. Even though we're not doing Dak's chart, Dak is also a life path 4. I happen to know because, of course, I've done all of their charts. But Dak and I happen to have almost an exact same chart. He's a 411, right? So I'm a 4-1, he's a 411. And that life path 4 is the builder, one of the 3 builders, right? So out of the cardinals, 1 through 9, you've got the 1, you've got the 4, and you've got the 7. Those are the leaders, right? Not the builders, excuse me. Those are the leaders, the leadership numbers. Now notice the shapes of the numbers as I talk about them, right? We've got the 1. Hard stick in the mud. I'm a birthday 1. I know all about it. The 1 is the male dominant, the father figure, the leader. But it's a different type of leader than the 4 and the 7 because the 1 is out front. The 1 is the maverick. The 1 is is very weird. Okay. My birthday is 1. I was born May 1st. Like, you can't get any weirder or strange than me. But that's okay. I embrace it. It's my authenticity. It's my individuality. And it's what makes me special. So 1s are very much like we're stuck in the mud. We're kind of very, bullish like that, very Taurian energy in a way. And, but also very different. We're not afraid to blaze our own paths and walk our own way because we don't care if anybody follows us. We can be loners a lot of times as well, right? Okay. So that's the first leader. The second leader is the 4. Look at the shape of the 4 once again. You've got hard, rigid lines. All 3 of the leadership numbers, 1, 4, and 7, none of them, sorry for the ice machine, none of them have any curves or rounds or whimsical shape to them at all. They are all hard lines. This means very intolerant people in certain regards. People that want to do the right thing, do things the right way the first time. So you don't mess around. Like, it's a FAFO type of energy with any of the leaders, which is the 1, the 4, and the 7. Now, the 4 is the leader of the people. Okay. So you got the 1 that's like the CEO, and then you've got the 4 that's like the director of operations or something, right? It's dealing a lot more with the people. Again, take a look at the shape of the 4. You've got like a square on the top and then a stick. If you were to like push the 4 over, it's going to be directing people. So that is the leader of the people. Okay. Sidarian's life path, aka his life purpose, is to lead people. It's a 4. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about this a little bit more in a second because Dak is also a 4 and he's the main leader. So how does that work together? And are we seeing some of that dynamic play out in some of the games, right? But let's go on to CD's birthday, which is the 8. Now, interestingly enough, he was born 4/8 and his life path and birthday is 4/8. I don't know what you call that in numerology, like a parallelogram or what have you, but just another piece of proof that CD is just super special. That's what I'll say. So the 8 and the 4 actually go really well together. The 4 is obviously half of the 8, but the 4 is very structured, right? It's the builder, it's justice, it's organization, everything in its right place where it's supposed to be. That sort of mindset and personality. Meanwhile, the 8. Let's go ahead and talk about the 8. It's going to be a big thing throughout this whole thing. The 8. And of course, CD is 88. Jersey number 88. A lot of the big playmakers are 88. And that's because Jerry and the rest of the elites know about numerology. There's a reason there's certain numbers that are special. Why do you think the 22 and the 88? We've got duplicated master type energies there, okay? So with that 88, the 8 is among the cardinals, 1 through 9, the 8 is the most powerful number. I liken it to a master, 11, 22, or 33. It comes with amplification. The 8 is power, money, karma, risk, resilience, alchemy, magic, manifestation. It is ego, pride, pleasure. It is trauma. It's shadow. 8 among the cardinals can be one of the darkest numbers. I call it the ultimate phoenix. And the reason being, once again, look at the shape of the 8. You've got like an infinity symbol. There's that karma, what you put in, you get back, right? Or 2 balls on top of each other, depending on how you make your 8s. Either way, if you were to drop the 8 physically, what's it going to do? It's going to bounce back quicker and faster and higher than any other number, right? Because it's the most resilient number. All right. So 8s are the ultimate phoenix. With one unwise risk, they will dive headfirst into the ground and crash and burn. But they are the most resilient number. So the bounce back game for an 8 is something like you've never seen before. I always personify, there's 2 people that I personify when I talk about the 8. Kanye Omari West, who is an amplified 11/8, and DEZ Bryant. Because even though he has 0/8 in his chart, he has something else in his chart that definitely affects that. And everything about DEZ Bryant is 8. Even the word DEZ deduces to the number 8. So he was also born in 1988, and his jersey number was 88. It's that double dupe, that dupe, right? So as a synesthete, that's what that feels like to me, is like dupe. Part of the reason I call CD my dupe. But anyways, okay. So with the 8, power, money, karma, risk, resilience, but it's also influence. Look at how Ye can influence people, even as batshit crazy as he can look sometimes. He does not give 2 you-know-whats. And this is because he understands that he has that direct connection with his life path 11. So he's a master and he knows it. People like that are they're going to tap in. You know what I mean? They're going to tap in and they're going to have that extra strong backbone, if you will, right? So we do see this with CD and his chart, but what this 8 and the 4 tells me, what I get in energy from it, is that there may be a natural tendency to listen to CD over deck sometimes. That's just what I'm picking up from the team, maybe even from leadership. He's coming from a good place, from a pure place. And he's wise. And we're going to talk about that in a second here. And we'll go ahead and pull it up now. So going to his expression number. The expression number, again, is how and why we do things. Based, of course, upon our numbers, but environmental factors, influences, experiences, so on and so forth. So CD's expression number from CEEDEE Lamb, from his government name chart, is the 3. So what is the 3? The 3 is the creative child. The 3 is, you ever met a baby or a young kid that you're like, you've been here before in somebody else's body and can't nobody tell me Nathan otherwise, right? So that is the pure energy of the 3, a super wise old soul put into a youthful avatar, right? So even if it's Luka's got some 3 in his chart, and we see that kind of playful personality. That is that youth, right? That divinely gifted child who has a lot of fun, youthful energy and appearance about them, but they are a wise old soul inside. Okay, that's the basis. All right. Now, looking back at that 8, we talked about how crazy that 8 is, right? Nutso. It can be, right? But we don't see that in CD's life. He's not a controversial player. And the reason for this is because his expression number is 3. Again, look at the shapes of the numbers, guys. You have that 8 there, right? Wilding out on all sides. Not given 2 whats. It's taken up its space and then some, right? in your face, bold and beautiful. Well, the 3 is going to come around and cuff it. Okay, so it's a protective number specifically for the most powerful of the cardinals, which is the 8. I call the 8, I jokingly personify it as like the drunk Uncle 8, who everybody loves. He's funny as shit. He comes over during Thanksgiving, Christmas, he's dancing, he's drunk. And then if him and Aunt 5 go out, they're best friends. They're going to have an epic time, but they're getting arrested every single time. It's the most volatile combination is the 5 and the 8. What is the difference between the 5 and the 8? Is 3. 3 is the protective number for the 8. Okay. All right. Moving on to CD's personality or perception number, as well as his heart's desire number, because they're both the same. That is the number 6. So our perception number is how we're seen. And then, of course, heart's desire is what we want to manifest. So CD is being a 6. That is the love of home and family and traditions and rituals and things that are sacred, the important things in life, right? But revolving around home and family. So the 6 is being in these positions. It shows that CD has always been the type of person that people have naturally looked to and just kind of felt like that was family. Or what this is saying to me right here is that baby boy. Even though it's the 6, and the 6 is like kind of grandma energy, like in this particular context, as a perception number 6, it's like that's baby boy. You just feel like he's family when you meet him, right? And then the heart's desire 6 is just what it sounds like. He wants to manifest love, home, tradition, rituals, family, home. So now let's talk about his little mini chart, because that was the Siderean de Leon. That's his government name chart, right? The full chart. But it changes a little bit, and this is important. We don't think that this is important, but it is, because we don't call him Siderean de Leon Lamb. We call him CEEDEE Lamb. So that CEEDEE Lamb name is going to push out so much more of an energy and come and connect with him as his identity, okay? And will be so much more impactful and powerful of a set of numbers than his government name, even though it'll still be applicable. So it changes from 48366 to 481111. This is interesting, and we're going to talk about this a couple of times. We have that Master 11 and his expression. So we're going from the wise, creative, divinely gifted. Now, let me go back to this, and sorry to be ADD, but the 3. Let's talk about the divine gift of the 3. Normally, a lot of times with 3s and 33s and high 3s in their chart, it's going to be musically gifted, musically inclined. Not always, because creativity comes in so many different forms. But this divinely gifted creative ability allows the 3, it's a tool that the 3 naturally comes with that allows them to easily transmute the traumas and negative things in life into beauty. For instance, somebody who writes a song about a breakup and, creates a beautiful song on it. So creating beauty out of pain, chaos, trauma, all of that, the 3s have a natural gift and ability to do that through their creativity. So this is important for not only CD's chart, but a little bit later on too. So we move from the 3, that wise youth, creative youth, to the 11, which is the master intuitive. So now we're bringing in, the more that we see CEEDEE Lamb, the more that he identifies as CEEDEE Lamb, which is probably most of his life now, that is that stronger expression number, right? So that's the master intuitive. And again, that's divine connection. Look at the shape. 2 1s. Yes, we are duplicating that male dominant energy. So that very unique, individual, authentic type of persona, not afraid to blaze their own path and be different, but is a leader in that regard, right? So we're going to duplicate that energy, but also, even though we're not deducing it to 2, at the end of the day, 1 + 1 still equals 2. So we're going to bring in a little bit of that 2 energy. Well, what's the 2? The 2 is the mother. The 1 is the father. The 2 is the mother. Okay. The Venus, the nurturer, the lover. So this 2 is love. And a lot of 11s and a lot of high 2s 11s, first of all, because they're so divinely, connected, a lot of them are empaths or psychics or mediums or sensitives of some sort. No matter what, they have great instincts because it's the master intuitive, right? So bringing that 2 into it, right? It's kind of a little bit different of a energy. You got the male and you got the female, the mom and the dad. So what that 2 looks like a lot of times in 11s is that they like to cook, or they like to host parties, or they like to nurture people like that. They have that mother hen energy about them, right? So what this tells me about CD is, even though he's young, he just turned 25. Happy belated birthday, by the way, my love. Doop doop. You amazing, beautiful young man, king. But he just turned 25, which just makes me feel so old. But he just turned 25, and yet he's such a leader already. And I have a feeling, I don't know. Again, this is just the numbers, but I don't know if they're at his house a lot, if he has a lot of the guys at his house a lot. I don't know if he does like to cook or barbecue or something like that, like has a very different type of hobby that he likes to do that has to do with nurturing, right? And he's probably just kind of like the wise eyes in the back of the head type of energy, like a mom would be. So that's a pretty interesting dynamic there. But moving on to his CD personality and heart's desire number, those are both the 1. So we do see him as a leader. We do. And at the end of the day, he does want to be a leader, right? And he wants to be very authentic, organic, genuine to himself, and he wants to blaze his own trail. That's what the 1 is. Now, we have Dakota, who is a 411 as well. He also has an 8 in his chart, but it's down in the perception number. He also has a 6 in his chart, which is his heart's desire. CD's 8 is higher. That is his birthday number. Therefore, not only do they bring amplification of the Master 11 energy and leadership energy, not only do they bring a leader of the people with that 4 energy, but CD also comes with much stronger influence energy. And I think that we've kind of seen this play out in maybe some of the more recent games where there might be developing, I don't want to say a power struggle necessarily, but CD has gotten his footing now. He's starting to get frustrated with a lot of the bullshit. All of us are. Try being a Cowboys fan for 45 years. I mean, we did get some Super Bowls back in the day, Jerry, but I was not even, I wasn't even a teenager then. Get it together, please. And a part of that, getting it together, is listening to people like CD. And CD, you know that you're good. You know what you're talking about. And at the same time, Dak is your leader. So influence him. Influence your leaders. Right? Use that massive influence ability that you have as honey instead of vinegar to bring him to your side and get him to understand. Right? All right. So that is the chart for CD Doop Doop, De Leon, Daddy Lamb. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Now, we cannot talk about the jersey number 88 of the Dallas Cowboys without immediately thinking about DEZ Bryant. I don't care what anybody says. DEZ Bryant will be forever legendary Cowboys player. He's just, you think of the Cowboys, number 88, and the first person, it's not Michael Irvin. It's not, and I love CD, and yeah, now CD, but like DEZ Bryant will be synonymous with the 88 forever. It is what it is, right? And this is incredibly interesting. DEZ Bryant's chart is probably one of the most beautiful, painful, but beautiful charts and tales of numerology that I've done. And it has a lot to do with that 8. right? Interestingly enough, Dez's chart is life path 5, birthday 4, expression 11, personality 6, and heart's desire of 5. We don't even have 1-8 in his chart. And his mini chart, the actual DEZ Bryant chart, is 54719. Once again, not 1-8 in his chart. However, the word DEZ itself, D-E-Z, deduces to the number 8. He was born in 1988. In November, the only amplified month of the year numerologically, 1188. And he's also jersey number 88. And Dez is 8. He cannot escape the 8, despite the fact that it is not even in his chart. To be honest with you, again, thousands of charts I've done in my life, I have never done a chart like Dez Bryant's, where a number is so very impactful and relevant to his chart, and it's not even a part of his chart. That's the most incredible thing about this. But let's talk about it. Desmond Demond Bryant, his government, born 11/4/1988, life path 5. So what is the 5? We're going to talk a lot about the 5 today. The 5 is such a beautiful number. The 5 is joy, it's sunshine, it's change, it's energy, right? But it's like atomic energy, excitement. It is pleasure. It is the extracurricular things in life. Pizza for dinner instead of a home cooked meal. It's travel, vacation, right? The things that you can't necessarily do every single day and maintain a healthy lifestyle, but you need those fun things in life. You need the sunshine, right? So 5, a big part of that energy of the 5 is change and movement and new stimulation. Okay. 5s want to spread joy. They're the life of the party. And if the 5 gets invited to the block party, excuse me, they will kind of probably inadvertently disappoint some people. And let me explain. Because everybody wants the 5 at their party. They're the life of the party, right? They want them to come to their house for the block party. Meanwhile, the 5 wants to spread joy. So they'll be like, yeah, I'm going out to the block party. I'll be there. Knowing good and damn well that they'll get to maybe 1 or 2 houses on the entire block the whole night. So with trying to make people happy and spread that joy, they inadvertently can maybe come off sometimes as flighty, even though that's not their intent. The 5s need to learn how to graciously decline or tentatively accept. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to say, I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there, and then continue maybe disappointing people or allowing yourself to maybe appear more flighty or less dependable than you truly are. That is, can be one of the shadow sides of the 5, just because it's so everywhere, right? 5s can't sit still for 5 minutes. Gotta constantly be doing something. Also, 5s can be hoes. So can 8s. Sorry. It is pleasure. It's pleasure. It is indulgence. It's dessert, right? 5s and 8s need to take everything in moderation. Everything. And probably stay away from some of the more vice type things. But anything can be a vice, even work, you know? So everything in moderation for 5s and 8s, especially. Okay, so we talked about the 4, the leader of the people, right? And so that's Dez's natural birthday energy. That's the day he was born, was on the 4th. He's a straight up 4. That's a leader of the people. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what his career, any sort of controversies, like he's still a leader. He's very much a leader. I think that's why he's so synonymous still with 88. I think that's why they did him wrong in so many ways. And I'm just going to say it like that. I think that's why when he was playing for what other team, I forget, there was another team and he came down a couple of years ago and everybody was excited that Dez was coming back to the AT&T Stadium to play the Cowboys. But this was during you know what? And so they gave him a nose test and oh, he's positive for C19. Yeah, right. So they wouldn't let him play, which was just some of the biggest bullshit. Also, he caught it. Just stop. Like, it's just Des triggers the parts of me that want to sometimes choose violence in my mind against the zebras. I just Des's career is one that really kind of makes me look around and be like, yeah, I think things might be set up around here. I think they might be. Jury's still out on that one, but let's continue with the chart. So we have that natural leadership 4 in his daily, everyday energy, right? So he's just naturally been a leader of the people, of men. So grown men look to Des. It's not just of the people. He's a leader of men. As his deck, 411. Look, 4, leader of the people, 1, 1. Male dominant, 2 of them. Leader of men. That's how the numbers read. Well, what's Des's expression? The 11. So we have atomic energy with that 5, the leadership of the 4 of the people, and then we have that master intuitive 11, which is that duplicated father dominant male energy. Okay, just like CD had that expression 11, so does Des. And just like CD had that personality or perception number of 6, so does Des, which is another thing that's kind of interesting here. So we know that that is the love of home and family and traditions, rituals, just the energy that surrounds the home, right? And then his heart's desire under his government name is 5. So we've got 2 5s here surrounding the chart on both ends of his chart. And meanwhile, without trying, he is the essence of the number 8. This man cannot escape that, okay? I can look at just his birthday alone without deducing a damn thing. Just his chart, just his birthday alone, and tell you, just from the year he was born, he has been through a ton of trauma. CD's been through some shit. CD has a birthday 8. 8s are purposed for trauma. I have a personality 8. I know all about it. My brother and my mom are high 8s. I know all about it. 8s are purposed for trauma. We're the Dawn soap in the oil cesspool that is our reality. We are the ones that absorb the trauma and the toxicity and the negativity. And sometimes we send that shit right back out. Sometimes we become toxic ourselves, right? It's all about the choice between the light and the shadow in each of our numbers. But Des has been through it. He has been through it. With the personality number of 6 specifically, this brings to mind, every time I look at it, a recent post that I saw of DEZ BRYANT, where he was on some podcast and he was talking about how generational trauma and not wanting to pass that along to his kids and encouraging others to react in different ways to their children. And he began tearing up. He got really emotional. Now, obviously we haven't seen a lot of that because Des is a hard ass dude. You know what I mean? He's just hard. And he's always been that like dynamic type of energy and player, very masculine, right? So to see a masculine man like that be vulnerable and have tears and emotion is number one of the most beautiful sights in the world to me. As an empath, I think that more men should cry. Let's normalize crying for men. No, we don't need you to be a bunch of babbling babies out there, but at the same time, like, process your shit. Please. Y'all are about to fucking explode. I think the world is at such high tensions in a lot of ways because men aren't allowed to express themselves. They're human beings. They have emotions too. I cry all the time. I hate it, but it's how I process. Sometimes it's how I channel messages is through tears. I'm not sad. It's just coming through that powerfully. All right. Normalize being a normal human being and allowing yourself to process your emotions. Okay. And congrats and kudos to DEZ BRYANT for doing that with such masculine energy and being open and vulnerable to the world about such an important topic as trauma, childhood trauma, and breaking generational curses. I fucks with that hard. 4:44 right here recording. So yeah, I just got goosebumps. I love me some DEZ. Flexing on my exes. All right. Now, but again, we have that life path 5 and the birth and the heart's desire 5, which is again the 5 and the 8 are the most volatile pairing. So he's been through it. My boy been through it, right? With the volatility. However, let's talk about his DEZ Bryant specific chart, because this is the most beautiful part of his chart. One of the most amazing tells of numerology charts I've ever done. 88% on the clock right on the battery right now. Interesting. Okay, so it changes from 5-4-11-6-5 to 5-4-7-1-9. Let's go to that 7. I love the 7. The 7 is the last of the leaders that we were talking about. The 7 is the executive producer. The 7 is the one pulling the strings from behind the curtains. The 7 is the one investing. The 7 is the one with strategy. The 7 is brilliance. Trump is a high 70s duplicate 7. Elon Musk has tons of 7. Nikola Tesla, tons of 7 in his chart. Melania Trump, tons of 7 in their charts. I personally think people with charts like that are not fully human. I'm not going to go open that can of worms right now, but incredibly smart, brilliant, intelligent people, 5D thinking people are 7s. All right. They're very secretive. It's not secrets to be nefarious. It's secrets for protection. They're very protective people. Look at the shape of the 7. Once again, most protective number. It's got a wall right next to it, and it's got a ledge. Any number under or next to it is protected. 7 is the most protective number, right? But it's the silent leader. It's not the one up front, and it's not the leader of the people. It's the, I don't want to say the Stephen Jones, but I guess maybe in that capacity it might be apropos, kind of behind the scenes, but maybe the smarter one, hopefully. Okay, so with this being as his DEZ Bryant expression number, of course, this is going to be, a super strong energy for his expression, how he does things. So he does things. He does not, he's very smart about it. He may not be open about a lot of things. He knows to keep his circles protected, and but he's very smart about it. And he's had to be. Look at what they put him through. It's only certain ones that they will put through hell. And we're going to talk about 2 of those in this stuff today. DEZ is one of them. Okay. So we see what they put him through. Granted, maybe, he was in some controversy himself, but you know what? You push a bear into a corner, what do you expect? This is why people need to know how to learn people's numbers and learn how to channel them properly, learn how to influence, right? All right, so personality of 1, we do see that male dominance, leadership attribute about him. And then his heart's desire of 9. Let's talk about the 9. This is the part that gives me chills and almost kind of brings me to tears when it comes to DEZ, because it's such a powerful story. The 9 is the closer. The 9 is the omega out of the cardinals. The 1 is the alpha. The 9 is the omega. All right. It's the closer. It is what I like to call the shapeshifter, right? Not in a bad way, although all numbers have shadow and light, but this is in a way that the 9 is comprised of every other number in the cardinals. Therefore, the 9 can transmute its energy that much more easily into every other number's energy, and vice versa. They're a lot more relatable and understandable. They just don't have as many filters as the rest of us judgmental assholes have, right? So a 9 is going to look at somebody who everybody else has judged as just an a-hole, and they're going to be like, that person, hurt people, and they probably went through some shit, and let me go see if I can help them. That's the energy of the 9, because the 9 is ultimately the healer. Chadwick Boseman had a huge 9 chart, 9s and 1s. And that chart broke me when I did his, when he passed away. I did not know much about him at the time, but I promised every time I talked about a 9, I would give Chadwick Boseman his roses for this. And what I learned about the 9 is 9s need to put their oxygen mask on first. They are the healers. They are the sponges of the numbers, right? You're the healers. You make the world go round. This is why Gary the numbers guy doesn't touch on, my personal thought is why he doesn't touch on 9 a lot, right? It's a very special number, very special number. And for this to be his heart's desire as his DEZ Bryant name is telling me that he wants to use everything that he's been through in life, including the good, the bad, the ugly, the lessons, the intelligence and brilliance that he's had to use, the strategy, all of that to promote healing, to heal, and to help heal others, to perpetrate the frequency of healing across the planet. That's his heart's desire now, as does Bryant. And to do so with leadership, wisdom, strategy, influence, and a ton of atomic energy. It's a beautiful life story. It's one of my favorite numerological tales of all that I've ever done. So shout out to DEZ Bryant. I love you. I will go out to one of your events here one day, and then it's going to be game over because we're about to be besties. Watch. All right. So that was your Cowboys version of the numerological sports-based breakdown for today. And then we're going to go into our other amazing Dallas team, which is, of course, the Dallas Mavericks. There's not another team out there. I don't know, it could just be because I follow those pages, but I feel like there is not more of a magic team than the Dallas Mavericks. And I lived in Orlando and worked with the Magic, Dwight Howard, Matt Barnes, and them when they were on the team back then. The Mavs are far more magic. Sorry. Far more. And yes, it has a lot to do with Kyrie. So without further ado, let's talk about Mr. Sunshine himself. Mr. Spread Love across the world, no matter how much shit they throw at him. Mr. Promote God and be God and emanate God through his very essence. Mr. Kyrie Andrew Irving. Happy belated birthday, Kyrie, who was born 3/23. So March 23rd was his birthday. And yeah, that's kind of apropos. I can see that. But what I love about Kyrie's chart, I want to delve into the 5 again, because if there is a person, generally I will take a person and I'm like, this is what this number is, right? The 5, that's Kyrie. That's Kyrie. Just a ton of energy, sunshine every time you see him. It's joy and sunshine. And what other player has dealt with as much bullshit? We saw DEZ dealt with a lot, and a lot of them do deal with a lot of bullshit. What player, and I'm asking this because I'm not hugely into basketball or any other sport aside from football, so maybe I'm ignorant in this, or maybe I just haven't seen it. What other player has come up against the demonization, the bastardization, the just the overall hate and nastiness that the league threw at him, that people like Stephen A. Smith threw at him, that the Nets threw at him, that Mayor Adams threw at him? Kyrie Irving risked everything to stand in his power. And they still tried to demonize him for it. They took money away. They tried to cancel him, demonize him, all of that. And luckily, we have Mark Cuban here who understood what it was. I think that Mark's a pretty brilliant guy. And even though in this particular issue, I don't think he was on the same side of things, he saw that he understood what freedom was about in that regard. And I want to be very careful for YouTube on here. But yes, I'm talking about the whole body autonomy, bodily autonomy thing, and Kyrie standing in his truth with that. That was when I became a super fan of Kyrie Irving. I have never been into basketball really. Again, my thing is football. But the moment he stood up for himself, for me, for my family, for every other freedom loving American who was like, no, I don't want this and I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to do it. That meant everything because it was a hell of a fight. One that I lost my best friend and my father to. So it's personal to me with that. And I'm forever grateful to Kyrie for standing up in that way. You can't get much more respect from me than to stand in your power, than to stand on truth and stand for what you believe in, no matter what the consequences. And Kyrie Irving displayed that to the world. He modeled that to the world while they continued to heap all sorts of shit on him that he didn't deserve. They tried to take everything away from him. And I want you to see what has happened since he left the cesspool of New York. I want you to take a look what has happened in his career. And I want you to take a look at how karma works on the other side. That when you do the right thing and you stand in your truth and you stand in your power, the universe, I want to state a quote by Infinity. The universe always rewards acts of bravery, especially coming from a soul-aligned place. The universe will always reward acts of bravery if coming from a pure soul-aligned place. And that's exactly what Kyrie did. He stood in his truth. He wasn't going to back down no matter what. And we've seen him do that multiple times. That, my friend, is the magic of Kyrie Irving. Now let's talk about his numbers. And my apologies, I don't mean to get emotional, but this stuff is powerful to me. It's why I do this. It's important. So flowers to Kyrie for that, for sure. All right, so we have that birthday of 5, that sunshine, that joy, that excitement, but we also have the expression of 5. Once again, amplified 5, right? Just tremendous energy, joy, sunshine, laughter, pleasure, fun. That is his energy, right? He just wants to spread joy. And his life path, I'll give you one guess. Can anybody guess? Yes, it is the 11, the master 11, the master intuitive. So once again, a divinely tapped in person that is very dominant, stuck in his ways, can be, kind of stubborn, but he's going to blaze his own trail. He's going to do his own thing. He's going to be Kyrie. And I fucking love it. God, I love that man. So we're going to take a quick break because the dog in the yard is about to attack my cat. So hold on. We're back. My apologies for that interruption by Charlie Manson, my crazy cat. So we were talking about Kyrie Irving, the magical Kyrie Irving, and I say magic, and it's so true. That is a master manifester right there and a generator. I want to do his human design sometime. If I can get that information, of course, that would be probably pretty hard to get, but that would be a cool experience. But Kyrie Irving is absolutely that leader that is unafraid, is bold. He's going to stick to his truth and stand on that with everything because he knows that he's divinely connected. He knows he's protected. Now, I want to go a little bit further down. We talked about his expression number also being the 5. So we have that just super amplification of that 5 joy, sunshine energy. And then it's further amplified by that 11, right? So tremendous, intense energy throughout that entire soul that is Kyrie Irving, okay? But let's go to his personality number, which is the 3. We talked about that creative child, that old soul. Tell me one person, one fan of Kyrie Irving that doesn't watch his stuff and realize that that is an old soul. He's been an old soul since he got in the game. He is always, it doesn't matter what sort of shit they are heaping on him, he is always just taking it and turning it into an intelligent, respectful reply that comes from strength. It comes from grounding. It comes from divine knowledge and inspiration, and it comes with grace. You know, I consider Kyrie Irving to be among the chosen. And when I mean the chosen, I mean people like me who are here for the awakening. He's not just a basketball player, guys. Like, that man was sent by the creator to make a crater-sized impact in our world, in our experience. And he's doing just that through his own way. Yes, so many people love him as a sports star, and congrats to him. I know he just had his 50th Mavs win yesterday, so he just got his $1 million bonus. So congrats to Kyrie and the Mavs for that. Yes, of course, I want them to go all the way, and I think that Dallas is a super special city right now. So I have a feeling that we might just take the playoffs as well as the whole damn thing. That's what I'm pulling for. But going back to Kyrie's creative child, we see that wisdom. We see that old soul in him. He's been here many more times than the rest of us. And he's far better of a person than I am, admittedly, even though he's among the chosen, even though he's a light worker, even though he's a special soul, chosen to help awaken and help save humanity, literally. He's so much further along on the soul journey than even somebody like myself. I allow my 8 to get in my ego, and when people bring shit against me, I'm like, who do you even think you're talking to? Like, that's my thing, and I think I know everything. I'm highly intelligent. I'm very informed. I'm kind of prideful about it, and that's one of the shadow sides of me that I need to work on, but you won't see that with Kyrie. You're not going to see that with him. It's likely because he doesn't have any 8 in his chart, so he doesn't come from ego. He just doesn't. Now let's go to his heart's desire number, because we've only talked a little bit about this number, but that is, and this once again ties in his entire chart, right? That is the heart's desire of 2, love. At the end of the day, Kyrie wants to push out the energy of love. He wants to amplify love that he gets and that he gives. Amplify love in the world. Just, that's his goal, to amplify love. Remember how DEZ was to heal? Like with Kyrie's chart, 5, the 5s, the 3, the 2, the 11, not seeing a lot of trauma there. Not seeing it. Doesn't mean he hasn't gone through his shit. Everybody has their stories. But it's nothing, and I don't know anything about their personal lives or their childhoods, but I can tell you just by their charts, DEZ went through some shit. Kyrie can't even relate in that regard, right? But they also have different purposes, okay? So it's not that one's any better than the other. It's not anything like that. Different purposes, right? Kyrie's overall, his heart's desire is to spread love, is to amplify love. DEZ's heart's desire is to heal, is to promote healing, and to save everyone. Nine's got to realize they can't save everyone, though. Protect your energy, okay? Just like with Chadwick Boseman, a lot of that healer energy, he wanted to save people. I think it manifested as illness in his body and took him, ultimately, you got to learn how to clear your energy and protect your energy if you have 9. It is what it is. Okay, so, all right. Now let's go over to Luka's, right? Because you would think, okay, it's probably going to be similar chart to Kyrie's, but not really. Not really at all. But it's still beautiful. Luka, let's take a look at their jersey numbers. Let's take a look at their jersey numbers. We have the jersey number 11 and number 77. The duo of the Doop Doop, the 88, okay? So the two of them together, that's a big part of their magic as well. But the fact that, let's go through Luka's chart. Luka is a life path 4 and a birthday 1, just like me, like I told you before. So dominant leader, leader of the people, and also very different, unique, not afraid to be his own person. He has the expression number of a 3. We saw that with CD's chart, right? How he does things is that wise old soul in a youthful body, right? So we're dealing with men that are wise beyond their years, young men who are very wise beyond their years, despite the fact that they all have this like playful, youthful energy about them. Those are old souls in all of them. Okay. With Luka, we see a lot of that playful nature on the court. But what we don't see a lot of times, I mean, I guess if you looked at it through, the game planning and moves and stuff, it could be apparent. But for laymen like me who just watch it for our stupid reasons, like it's not going to be that apparent, right? But tremendous leadership with Luka Doncic. Life path 4, birthday 1, personality perception of 11, and a heart's desire of 1. All 5 of his placements minus 1. Okay, so 4 of his 5 placements are leadership numbers, hard, rigid numbers. What does this tell me about Luka Doncic? That even though we see that fun-loving, youthful type energy on the court, do not get it twisted. Luka is not to be fucked with. I'll just say it like that. Luka's about that business. And not that anybody would want to come against him, I don't think, because he seems to be that like very jovial, nice, teammate, with a great personality. However, if one did find themselves coming up against Luka Doncic in an aggressive way, that's that FAFO energy. A 4-1, 11-1, you're about to fuck around and find out. That's just what that chart says. So I'm not a huge follower of Luka, so I'm literally just reading the numbers. I only know about him because of KYRIE. But yeah. So those are the charts of the athletes. Now, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to be graceful and I'm going to do my best to be as nice as possible with this next chart because it is for one of my least favorite people in life, or I'll say it this way, one of the people that I love to dislike, Stephen A. Smith, aka Mr. Sassy Pants himself, has a chart that is almost identical to one of the athletes that we just reviewed. And I'm going to give you a moment to see if you can figure it out. Was it KYRIE Irving, Luka Doncic, CEEDEE Lamb, or DEZ Bryant? Which chart is closest and almost identical to Stephen A. Smith's chart? I can tell you this much. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. And then as a numerologist, I looked back at it and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because the chart that is most like Stephen A. Smith's is KYRIE Irving's. KYRIE is 115532. SAS is 115128. So we have our highest, most weighted numbers. Our life path and birthday are the exact same for these two. They also have 2s in their charts. So there's only 2 numbers which are different. Actually, one number that's different because KYRIE has that 11, and that would be the 8. And we talked about the 8, right? So the 8 in the heart's desire of Stephen A. Smith's chart. Again, looking at KYRIE's chart, 115532. We have a master intuitive that's divinely connected and using his instinct to spread love and joy and change and excitement as much as possible while utilizing wisdom and his youthful appearance, his youthful demeanor, a lot of fun. He does have fun in what he does. You can see it. And we love watching him have fun, right? So that's part of that perception energy. But he does that for his heart's desire of 2, which is to spread love, promote love, and be love. So what he wants to manifest is love, the heart's desire. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith divinely connected, who has a lot of energy, excitement, mass appeal of the five, who wants to be dominant. He does things in a dominant way, that one expression number. He does things my way or the highway. Very stubborn. And then the 2 in the perception placement, this is interesting because the 2 in KYRIE's heart's desire, this is why placements matter. The 2 in KYRIE's heart's desire means he wants to promote love. He wants to spread love. He wants to grow love, right? The 2 in SAS's perception number is the playboy. So he's seen as a playboy. Oh. And then, so yeah, divinely connected, master intuitive, who wants, a lot of energy, to be dominant, use that dominance of that male 1, as well as his perception as the playboy. So his popularity, in other words, his sexual appeal, which, to what? To manifest what? The 8. Well, what is the 8? Power, money, and karma. That's the difference between Stephen A. Smith and KYRIE Irving. One of them wants to take all of their divine gifts and their huge platform and the masses of energy that they have acquired and achieved in life. One of them wants to promote and spread love. The other wants to use it for power, money, and karma. And you're going to get it too. And that was your hopefully not too ADD numerology lesson through the charts of KYRIE Irving, LUKA Doncic, Stephen A. Smith, CEEDEE Daddy Lamb, and of course, the ever beloved DEZ Bryant. I hope you understood. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. And I hope you were blessed by this. And I hope it piqued some sort of interest in numerology. If you have any questions, if you have your favorite athlete, sports star, or artist that you want to know about their numerology, I've done so many of them, including Jelly Roll and Bunny XO, who actually replied and gave me comments saying I was on point and thanked me for their readings. So shout out to them for that. And talk about another 11-5, high 11-5, Jelly Roll, mass appeal, beauty, mass appeal. Those 11-5s, woo! DJ Khaled, 11-5. KYRIE Irving, 11-5. Jelly Roll, 11-5. Stephen A. Smith, 11-5. See the power in that? See the mass appeal in those people versus maybe others who are in their field? They don't have that level of appeal, right? That's the beauty of the 11-5. So with that being said, once again, I hope you were blessed by this. And if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, feedback, I want to hear it all. Please be easy again. I'm new with this and I do my best to kind of not be so ADD and stick with my notes. But again, if you have any questions, please let me know. You can reach me at Naughty Numerology Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, as well as at Rothy Reads Numbers on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And of course, you can catch the Naughty Numerology Podcast streaming on all major platforms. And yeah, so thanks so much for watching, guys. Go Mavs, go Cowboys, Big D, X shit. All right, love y'all. Bye.